you?
Tartan Day. Happy Tartan
Indeed.
Day to you.
Yeah, it's a bit early in the day for me to be tanking into the whiskey. It's noon here. Noon on Tuesday.
Oh, good heavens. I guess it is a bit early, but, it is still Tartan Day here in the North America. Excellent. So if you want to have a little, yeah. So we really appreciate you coming on with us. I know you are a board member for ScotWeek, and we greatly appreciate your support. We really do.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
And we have partnered with our friends in Tartan Week, New York City, and we just wanted to give a shout out to them. And I know you were a grand marshal for their parade.
I was. It was honestly probably one of the proudest days of my life, really. I really wished my father could have seen it. He would have loved it. He was a piper and in the Boys Brigade in Glasgow. And he would have loved to see all that. Just walking up 6th Avenue on that beautiful day. I mean, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was gorgeous. Sorry, my children are making lots of noise in the background.
Not a problem.
But it was a fantastic day. It was a fantastic day.
Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I mean, I remember I had to judge a dog competition, sort of a tartan. There were West Highland Terriers, and there was another type of little Scotty dog. Boy, it was competitive. I had no idea. I had no idea. Thought it would be a bit of light-hearted fun, just sort of, hey, how will we all get on with the dogs, and let's all play together, and that's no, it was cutthroat. It was absolutely cutthroat. It was, when I did choose a dog, and by complete coincidence, his name was McTAVISH. That was not planned by me, but it didn't go down well with a couple of the other competitors. They all looked fantastic. The thing that clinched it for me with McTAVISH was he had a little tam o' shanter, little sort of tartan waistcoat kind of outfit, and he was in a pram. I mean, who couldn't love that dog?
Right. I would have loved him too.
I just wanted to take him home with me. I kind of felt, I had a bit of a crush on him by the end. He was pretty great. So, yeah. But apart from that, I just remember walking up that street with thousands of people up 6th Avenue and seeing all these thousands and thousands. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And I know Sam Hewen did it, I think, either the following year or the year after that, and it was raining.
Well, I know that, we would love to have you here with our parade and all the things that we're doing for Scott. But I do know that Kyle Dawson has said that you are terrific, and he would love to have you come back to your Tartan Day.
I would love to do it. I mean, seriously, I would love to do it. And when we can put all this current difficult period behind us, I would love to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of sad. I mean, it is very sad. I was talking with him earlier, doing an interview with him, and we're trying to honor Tartan Day in the U.S. here as a national holiday, and wanted to do it virtual. It was kind of a last-minute decision to do this, and we threw it together, just kind of hoping, because everyone's quarantined in their homes, and we're just hoping that everyone can, have, something to do and show the world that he was.
Yeah, I think this sort of thing is a really wonderful way of keeping people connected, actually. To really, in circumstances where it's impossible for us all to gather together at the moment, to be able to just actually see each other and talk and hear each other's stories. And I've been, one of the consequences for me of this actually has been that I'm connecting more with certain people in my life, even certain family members. You really find yourself making that extra effort, which is great.
It's a different perspective now, isn't it? It's
Totally. I think we will view things very differently once this is all over. Our relationships and what we regard as important, the things that are essential in our lives. And I think people have realized how just human contact, whether physical or just, being in someone's presence, is such a massive part of all of our lives. And, all the things that we've been encouraged over the last however many decades to believe are important, like, buying the latest this, or, accumulating possessions and all this sort of thing. I think those things have been, we've been forced to actually reevaluate some of that stuff. And I think that's, if nothing else, that's a healthy thing to do.
I absolutely agree with you, and it kind of slows me down. I'm always on the go, traveling all over the place. I know you travel all over as well, and I've always got something to do, and I'm never just sitting still. And so that's interesting. I get to learn, do some new things,
and we learn about ourselves as well. We learn about ourselves, and we learn about people close to us as well. It's a very interesting, unique experience, actually, for me.
And I like how you said in it, you learn what really matters in life and what doesn't.
Absolutely. It sure does. Well, I mean, obviously, one of the things that really matters is your health. And I think, all too often we take that kind of thing for granted. And I mean, the British Prime Minister has just been admitted to intensive care.
Yeah.
And, that is, I mean, I know that's happened to a lot of people, but when it happens to somebody who's in charge of a country, it really does give you a new perspective on it. And it's, sobering stuff.
It does. I think he's one of the first world leaders to have contracted the virus. Absolutely.
Yeah. But we will get through it. We will.
We will. And is there anything you'd like to talk about? Projects you're working on? I saw your face recently.
Well, one thing that this has actually allowed me to spend more time on, and Sam, is this documentary series called Clanlands that we've been working on. And we're working on the TV show and the book that will go with it. And we're doing it all the time. We're working every day. I had a conference call with him again this morning with the publishers of the book, and tomorrow we're talking to studios and everything. And we've sold the show. We can't sort of go into too many details about that exactly, but it has been sold, and it will be broadcast, and it's going to be, I believe, 8 episodes. The first season, because we're planning to do multiple seasons. We were planning to film our second season this April, but that's been pushed back. So we're hoping to be in Scotland filming of this year. That's the plan. Wow. And with a view to getting it out, hopefully by the end of the year. So it's a documentary about Scottish history, culture, landscape, told through the eyes of 2 people who barely know what they're doing. And that's me and Sam Hearn. Well, the thing is that you realize, I mean, one of the things that I realized doing it, I regard myself as a student of Scottish history, but once you actually start to really dig deep and actually meet clan chiefs, and I mean, I know you're very familiar with that kind of a world, you realize the complicated nature of Scottish culture and history. I think it's easy to see it in a very kind of binary way, that there was the evil English, or British as people like to call them, and the doughty, resourceful Highlanders. And of course, the story is much more complicated than that, and that's what I found really fascinating. And along the way, we get to enjoy traveling in all sorts of unusual ways. Sam seemed to be almost dedicated to try and put me in harm's way as much as possible. So we were in a motorbike and sidecar. We're on a tandem bike, kayaking, canoeing, boating. We're in an RV camper that Sam, I'd never driven with Sam before. And it was a sobering experience, I have to be honest. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun. A lot of laughter, and hopefully along the way people will learn some stuff.
I'm sure that they will. We enjoy seeing all the pictures that you send out to everyone. We really do.
Yeah, It was great fun. Great fun.
Why don't you do the Macintoshes? I had an end.
I know, and I do want to do the Macintoshes. The story of the Macintoshes and the Camerons is just, this is the thing, these stories are stranger than any fiction. You just can't make them up. And just how, feuding, which is one aspect of what we talk about in the show, it was almost elevated to an art form in Scotland. It really just, they went for it. This wasn't just a kind of thing that blew over after a few weeks. It's like, hundreds of years in some cases, still going. I think one feud, I think this is true, between the Keith and the Gun clan was only finally resolved in 1975.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know if that's the most recent one, although
1975.
You were in Glencoe last year, and I know you probably saw what I saw. If you stop in Glencoe at any establishment, it says a big brass plate, no McDonald's allowed.
Or no Campbell's allowed.
I'm sorry.
No Campbell's.
No
Campbell's.
Yes, no Campbell's. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. I've been at this for 9 hours, and so it says no Campbell's allowed, and it's still...
Yes, no dogs, no Campbell's. That's what was above one pub, yeah.
And these plates are new. They're only a couple of years old.
I know. We went to one castle, a place called Fernlarrig, which is a Campbell castle. Really extraordinary. I met the most extraordinary man who now owns it, who's Swedish, actually, but a fascinating man. He looked like Rutger Hauer. And he showed us the beheading pit at Fernlarrig Castle, which the Campbells would, after they'd sentenced people to death, they would be kept there overnight. And then in the morning, while the Campbells were probably having breakfast, they would be led to the beheading pit and dealt with while the Campbells just looked down at them. A lot of McGregors died in that way, in that particular pit. And Sam put me in the pit, which I thought was really nice of him.
Oh my gosh. So I can't wait to see this, although I'm glad you're out. Obviously you made it out. Here you are.
I made it out of the pit. No thanks to Sam Hewen, but I made it out, yeah. No, it was, I mean, that, in all seriousness, that was a really spooky, chilling place, actually. And I'm not really given to imagining, all this sort of stuff, ghosts and everything. But this definitely had a very, very dark energy to it, this place. We were taken to the Judgment Hill, which we walked to, and there were steps cut into the ground. And you could see that, there'd been just slabs of stone put there hundreds of years. People walking up there, and they'd meet the laird at the top of the hill underneath this tree. And the tree was there, and he would pass judgment. And so if you were a commoner, if you were not part of the nobility, if you were found guilty, you were instantly hanged. So they just took you, and they took them to a tree just beyond, and they hanged them immediately. The nobility were given the night to reflect upon their crimes before they were beheaded. That was considered an honor to be beheaded. But when they took the tree down, the bough of the tree had a huge groove in it from all the ropes that had been hung on it over the years. Oh yeah.
Gosh. That's scary. I want to go see this tree.
Oh yeah, it's there. It's creepy.
My goodness. Yeah. You're seeing parts of Scotland, and I thought I explored almost every nook and cranny, but you're seeing things I have never seen, and I'm so excited to see Clan Land just so that I can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did we see you recently on Outlander?
You may have. Yes. Yes, I managed. Well, hopefully this won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But yes, I was persuaded to return as my own illegitimate son, which they rang me actually my last day on Preacher, which was the show I was doing for 4 years, and on my last day, I remember I was driving into the studio, and they rang me. And they said, oh, would you be interested? We'd like you to come back. And I was imagining like some kind of flashback or whatever, something Dougal connected. was like, okay, but they persuaded me, and it was a great idea. And when I did the makeup test, they just transformed me. It was quite remarkable, actually. I ended up looking like a friend of mine, which was quite weird. I did. I was looking at the mirror and I was like, oh, that's weird. That looks like Clive. And it was great fun though. But it was hard to keep it secret. They had a code name for me on it. Yes, I wasn't, they insisted I mustn't ever be referred to by my actual name. Right. Which I thought was, I mean, these TV and films, they get a little bit carried away. And on this occasion, they decided to call me Buck Rogers. Yes.
Fantastic.
So on the call sheet, I'm Buck Rogers. In the hotel, I was checked in as Buck Rogers. And of course, when you check in, you have to give your ID. And they put me in this beautiful hotel. And I checked in. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, there's no record of your booking. And I'm like, oh, really? And I said, yeah, it's through so-and-so and everything like that. And they looked up the person and they went, oh, Mr. Rogers. And I said, no. And I said, what's the name under? And he says, yes, it's Mr. Buck Rogers. And they said, no, that's not my actual name. And when the people would greet me at on the set, they would greet me as, my daughter's having a little look. They would greet me as Buck Rogers. And I just had to say, look, please stop calling me Buck, please. My name's Graham. So anyway, that was quite fun. And it was great fun to work with people on the show that I'd never worked with before. People like Richard and Kyle and all these other guys, Tim Downey, that I'd met socially, but I'd never worked with them. So it was wonderful. And of course, I got to play such a nice, warm-hearted, loving individual.
I saw some of the promos for that. That was fantastic. So I know the books and I know the stories. So will you be a regular fixture now? Because in the books, this character is there for the duration.
Yes, this is a good question. The honest answer is I don't know. But I know that the character returns quite heavily, I believe, in books 7 and 8. But yeah, so we shall see. I mean, I love the idea of it, and it's great. And he's, when they explained the character arc of Buck, it's an interesting one, and the relationship that he has with Roger and all of this sort of stuff. So yeah, potentially it could be fantastic. We shall see. But that's all in the hands of those people in high offices who make those decisions.
Well, if there's anything the rest of us could do to pull for you to be back.
Yes, a massive campaign for Buck.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
Rogers. I wonder if Buck Rogers is something that, is before some people's time.
I think so. But what was it, Buck Rogers in the 21st century, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he was in outer space, yeah.
It was one of our idols, I know, so.
Yeah.
Anything else you're working on? Anything?
Well, there are things that I was working on, and they've been delayed, so I've got to go back to them. 2 projects. One is a film, and one is a TV series. I can't talk about them because they're very secretive. And another show on Netflix as well that is ongoing. So yeah, I'm back and forth on stuff, and hopefully those things will start up. I'm hoping by September. So it's going to be a long haul. I'm trying to keep myself and my children sane here, and just keep them busy. The place has turned into like a kind of Lego outlet store. There's so much Lego. It's taken over, but it's good. It's good.
Are you having to homeschool then as well?
Well, well, kind of. They're doing schooling online with their school, so they get. This is currently their holiday, actually. last week and this week. So next week they'll be back at school, so to speak, but they'll be getting everything sent to them online. My youngest daughter does a Zoom meeting with all her classmates. She's 7, so they all meet, and their teacher reads them a story. So it's kind of lovely, actually. But yeah,
we could all learn from them, can't we? Maybe they can show us how to use Zoom.
I know. It's just yes, terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. It is. We are so grateful for you joining us here today.
Thank you.
Again, we're so appreciative of you supporting of ScotWeek.
Oh no, I think it's cool.
Yeah, we're having great fun with it, and we're very grateful. I know we should probably let you go, but this has been great fun, and I know that a lot of people
before my children destroy the house. Yes.
Well,
it's been a pleasure talking to you, though.
Pleasure talking to you too. Take good care. We'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. All right.
Bye for now.
Bye.